Hey, what's going on, guys? Christian Hanna Horror here. We're at Volume 6 of Horror Blu-rays I Want You to Own. This is one of my favorite series I do, where I show movies that I have in my collection that I think are worthy of being in your collection. Now, some of these are because of the special features and things that they include, and others are because they're just great movies that I think you need to see that maybe you haven't. So without further ado, coming in at number 5, I thought we would go pretty classic on this, but I want to make sure that people know that this is the best way to watch this film. The Criterion release of Night of the Living Dead, I think, is the best way to enjoy one of the greatest horror movies. I think it's top 3. I think Night of the Living Dead is top 3 greatest horror movies ever made. I love it. I make Texas Chainsaw number 1. I might make Night of the Living Dead number 2. It could be Jaws. I'm not sure. But regardless, I think it's top 3. I think it's one of the best. Now, this Criterion comes with a slew of great stuff. First of all, this whole thing is approved by George Romero, John Russo, the sound engineer, new restoration of the soundtrack, new restoration of the picture, 16mm dailies, anything you want to know about Night of the Living Dead, this Blu-ray will give it to you. And this is from Criterion, and they did a fantastic job on this release. So this is, I think, very, very worthy to be in your collection. I'm sure that some of you watching this may own this, but for anybody that does not have this, I know you may have a cheap little DVD somewhere, enjoy this movie in its best possible format, and that is right here with this Criterion Blu-ray. I love it. I think you guys should have it too. So, number 5 is the Criterion Night of the Living Dead. All right, number 4 is actually, it's more so for the movie than anything else. Now, we talk about Wes Craven. Obviously, he's known for Last House on the Left, The Hills Have Eyes, Nightmare on Elm Street, more importantly than anything. But, you know, there's a movie that I don't see enough love for in my circles with friends that I talk to, and I want to praise it a little bit. Now, when it comes to Wes Craven films, I think that one of his best films should be more mainstream, should be more out into the ether, because it's an amazing horror film. I think it's probably one of his best directed films. I want you guys to own The Serpent and the Rainbow. I think this is genuinely one of Wes Craven's best directed films from A to Z. Wes Craven, I love Wes Craven. I think he's one of my favorite horror movie directors. The only sin I've ever had with Wes Craven films is that they are boring sometimes, but never that they're badly made or they're badly directed or anything like that. No, Wes was obviously a very good director. Just sometimes movies like Deadly Blessing don't connect with me. But a movie like Serpent and the Rainbow, I think, is out of this world good. I think it's one of the absolute best from Wes Craven, and I just want to praise it as much as I can. Now, the special features are nice. There are actor interviews and commentaries and all that great stuff, but I want you to own this movie more than anything. The Serpent and the Rainbow. I think it's one of Wes's best films. Now, I have to get this out of the way. Now, everybody that knows me knows that I have an all-time favorite movie in the world. Now, if you don't own this, I beg of you, please, before it goes out of print, I don't want these things to go out of print, and then I try to show them to you, and you guys are like, Christian, that's out of print. Make sure you own the Return of the Living Dead Blu-ray, please, because this is the best release. This is one of the best releases from Scream Factory, besides the fact that I love the film. New 2K scans of the Inner Positive. The movie looks great. The movie sounds great. A slew of audio commentaries. Great special features. It comes with the More Brains documentary, which is the equivalent to the Chris Lake Memories documentary. This thing is feature length. It goes over every facet of the making of Return of the Living Dead, and it is a must own. This is how a prestige movie gets released. This Return of the Living Dead Scream Factory Blu-ray set is one of the best that Scream Factory has ever done. And you just got to own it. Make sure you have this, guys, for me. And if you haven't seen the movie in a while, please give it a shot. It's my all-time favorite movie in the world, Return of the Living Dead from Scream Factory. Please don't miss this one. Coming in at number 2 is another one that's more so for the movie, but this is an Arrow video release, and they always do a good job with special features and restoring their films. This is a weird, crazy movie, and I love it. Anything from the late 80s that has to do with prosthetic makeup effects and things like that, I'm all in it to win it. Society, directed by Brian Usna. This is an Arrow video release. I love Society. Now, Brian Usna has gone on record stating that he doesn't know what to categorize Society as, because he doesn't just call it a real horror film, because it really doesn't Scary isn't the word to describe this film. Now, it's clearly a film that belongs in the horror pantheon, and the horror fans have taken this film. But I get what he means. But I think that any horror fan, for lack of a different word, would absolutely enjoy this film if you haven't seen it. Now, Society has some really funny stuff in it, and then that famous line that everybody says, "Look, I'm a butthead now." One of the funniest but most disturbing scenes in the movie. Society is a special makeup effects wild stallion of a horror movie. I love it so much. I love the ritzy art life of the Beverly Hills people, and then this one boy who's the only boy we can relate to because everybody else is a nut job, and you soon find out why. This is a great release to own. First of all, it's great seeing this movie in high definition. I've watched lowball transfers of this movie over the years, and this is one of those instances where a higher presentation made me appreciate the film more, especially with the special makeup effects, looks, and everything. I think this is a situation where the movie improves in quality. The special effects makeups improves in higher quality. Sometimes it doesn't in other films because you see strings, wires, what have you. But I think this is one movie where you improve it when the picture quality gets better. Great special features. It's a slew of special features. Interviews with director Brian Usna, the cast, making ofs, it's all great stuff. So this is Society from Arrow Video. I love this movie. Okay, coming in at number 1, this is the most random movie, but I love it, and I figured, why not just put this in here? I'll review it someday, but I'll keep this spoiler-free. I watched this movie called Piranha a long time ago, and I remembered it throughout the year, so I picked up this steelbook of it maybe a year or so ago, and I finally got around to watching that steelbook again to refresh my memory, and I loved Piranha because it was basically right after Jaws, and they were trying to capitalize on that. I think it was a Roger Corman film, and so I did a little bit of research, then I saw that there was a movie called Piranha 2: The Spawning, and I also saw that it was the directorial debut of James Cameron, who we know from Aliens, Terminator, Titanic. And I was like, I've got to see this movie. Is this really James Cameron doing a movie called Piranha 2: The Spawning? So I watched the trailer for Piranha 2, realized that Lance Henriksen and other great cast members were in this movie, and I was like, oh my god, I've got to see Piranha 2. So Scream Factory, thankfully, put a Blu-ray out of Piranha 2. And hold on, guys. I love this movie so much. It's actually like, I don't know the story too much about James Cameron getting kicked off set, but that's apparently a thing. He was kicked off the set of Piranha 2. But I'll say this. This movie was so entertaining. I loved it because it seemed like this big, serious type movie. Like, it felt like Jaws 2 almost, like with the levity of everything going on and the performances. Like, the performances were pretty darn good. Like, I was impressed with Piranha 2. I really loved it. And that's right, these are flying piranhas. They fly. But I love this movie. I've watched it 3 times since I've got this Blu-ray because it's every time I watch it, I'm like, wow, this is like a movie. Like, this isn't by definition, you call this a B movie, right? Piranha 2. But it was awesome. I loved it. I loved Piranha 2. New 2K scan of the original camera negative, new interviews with actor Randy Paul Golden and special effects artist Brian Wade. They couldn't get Lance Henriksen to talk about this. They certainly couldn't get James Cameron to talk about this. But this is one of those instances where you get it for the movie. I love Piranha 2, guys. I think you need to have it. I really do. I really do. So those are 5 horror Blu-rays. I want you to own Volume 6, some classics, some no-brainers, and some just that I really wanted to talk about. Please let me know if you have these movies, and if not, if you're enticed now to try to get them. Also, please let me know about ones that should make Volume 7 next, and so we could share our knowledge and love for these horror films. This is Christian Hanna Horror. We'll see you guys next time.